For many, Wikipedia, the collaborative online encyclopedia, is the first place to go looking for someone or something. But can you rely on it? Well, not really, says scientist Ruppert Sheldrake. He came in to explain.
Wikipedia is open to anyone to edit, and it's a wonderful idea. But because it's so widely used, it makes it attractive to people with an agenda to push their own agenda by becoming editors. And I drew attention to a group called Guerrilla Skeptics on Wikipedia in a blog that I wrote in the summer, a group of people who have a very strong agenda. They want to prove that things like telepathy, alternative and complementary medicine and so on are rubbish. Well, they don't want to prove it, they believe that, and they want everyone else to believe it. So I drew attention to their activities, and a few days later, the Wikipedia page on me was targeted by a group of skeptics. Now, I can't prove that they're part of that organisation because people operate anonymously. And so what's happened to me since then is that these people, as it were, captured my biography, which I've never edited myself. That's not what you do on Wikipedia. But they've now systematically gone through the biography, quoting everything bad that anyone's ever said about me for the last 30 years, deleting anything good that anyone's said about me, and then rewriting my career. For example, I was a fellow of Clare College, Cambridge, and a director of studies at Cambridge. That's been changed to I worked for a while as a postdoc at Cambridge. So basically, a group of dedicated, ideologically motivated people have not just my page. I mean, if it was just me, I wouldn't be so worried. It's a systematic attempt to distort hundreds of pages on Wikipedia.
Because your research pursues the idea that mind is more than the physical, that people have beliefs, they might have something called soul. There is telepathy, for example, which needs to be explored. Things are not purely material in the way that humans experience them. And these people don't like that. They think it should be materialism and that's it.
That's it. They're committed materialists. And materialism as a philosophy is the belief that the mind is nothing but the brain, the activity of the brain. So things like telepathy or alternative medicine are impossible. Therefore,
or even belief in God?
Oh, yes. Most of them are militant atheists. I think that's really where the emotional impetus comes from for many of them. They're kind of proselytizing atheists. They think that phenomena like telepathy are impossible. I'm a scientist and I think that we should investigate them. I've done studies on dogs that know when their owners are coming home, which I think is telepathic in many cases. But you see that from the point of view of the guerrilla skeptics, anyone who investigates these phenomena that they don't like with is doing pseudoscience.
If you change things back, they, as you say, they've changed your biography, so you change it back to what it was, then what happens?
There's been a series of people who've gone into the edit the page who think that this is wrong, and they've tried to restore a balance. If they change it back, within seconds, the skeptic types revert it. It's called reversion, because they have an automatic alert. If any change is made on the site, they're immediately notified. And then, if someone changes it back again, if someone reverts things 3 times in a day, they can be banned for, it's called an editing war. They've got about 5 people banned so far. So this is the problem. I mean, it's not confined to these skeptic groups. There are other groups on different parts of Wikipedia who are editing it for their own ends.
Such as?
Well, the Oxford University Internet Research Unit published a list recently of the top editing wars on Wikipedia, and the top 10 sites where there's editing wars and contested editing concern climate change, God, Jesus Christ, Muhammad, and homosexuality. And they differ from country to country. Most people who use Wikipedia think it's sort of fair and objective, and in some cases it is. I mean, if you're dealing with uncontroversial subjects, like the age of Lincoln Cathedral or something, then it's probably very reliable. But in anything where there's a differing opinion, there's a tremendous temptation for people to try and capture it and use it to promote their agenda. So on my particular biography page, the Ruppert Sheldrake page on Wikipedia, a superficial person just looking me up for the first time would get an extremely distorted view. If they persisted, they'd be able to correct the balance, but many of them might not persist.
Ruppert Sheldrake, well, we're going to talk about the reliability of Wikipedia, and that's on the World Service Facebook page. Quite a lot of people also commenting on Sheldrake's research itself. We're actually going to take that up as an issue later, sometime next week. This is the BBC.